Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's Dynamics 365 Tech Talk. Today's topic is Engineering Change Management, Overview in Dynamics 365 SCM. My name is David, and I'll be your moderator today. We are broadcasting this session through Teams live events, and the audio can be heard through your device speakers. This session is being recorded on behalf of the Microsoft Corporation. When you join this event, your name, email address, and/or phone number may be viewable by other session participants in the attendee list. By joining, you are agreeing to this experience. The recording will be available on the TechTalk's Community Dynamics page within 5 business days. If you have questions for the presenters or need support, please use the Q&A panel located on the right side of your screen. Our presenters will be responding to your questions at the end of the presentation. Thank you for your patience during these announcements. Presenting for us today from Microsoft, we have Krupke, Senior Solutions Architect, Meenu Laul, Senior Solutions Architect, and Hiren Naik, Senior Solutions Architect. Anne, over to you.
Thanks, David, and thank you everyone for joining us for our Tech Talk today on Engineering Change Management in Dynamics 365 Supply Chain Management. Let's get kicked off. This Tech Talk is the first in a series of 4 Tech Talks that we have planned on engineering change management. In this session, we will go through the overview of what the functionality is and the business processes it supports. The next 3 sessions will dive into setting up each of the 3 main processes in the product lifecycle: new product launch, product changes, and the product retirement process. To keep things interesting, we have a riddle of the day. Feel free to put your guesses in the chat, and the answer will be revealed at the end of the session. The riddle is, what did the electrical engineer say when she got shocked? Stay tuned to find out. Let's do a quick walkthrough of our agenda for today's session. We will start off by reviewing what engineering change management is and how businesses use the functionality to support product processes. Then we're going to hand it over to Hiren to talk about what the common terminology we use is in Dynamics for ECM, which we'll reference throughout the rest of the series. Then Meenu will take us through how to get ECM set up in your environment from a license configuration and feature enablement perspective, and we'll give you a brief demo on the 2 ECM workspaces in the system. We will wrap up the session with additional resources and guidance, and then spend the remaining time answering the questions from the chat. Let's dive in. So we'll start with answering the question, what is engineering change management and why would we use it? Engineering change management, which we abbreviate ECM, is a tool used by manufacturers to track and process updates to product information. They do this for a few main reasons. One reason is that engineering change management helps increase traceability within the product lifecycle. With ECM, the system has workflow that tracks requests for changes and records approvals throughout the change process. We also have visibility into the current states of our products across all of our operational entities, and we keep track of important product attributes. Another benefit of using ECM is that it allows for greater control in the product change process. We can have different owners of different products and route changes to the proper approvers. We can control what types of transactions the product is ready for, and we can implement mandatory checklists that products have to clear before they're ready for use. And thirdly, one of the great things about ECM is that it allows us to take what are historically paper or manual processes and put them into the system. By using system workflows, we can avoid playing phone tag or digging through our inbox to find the engineering sign-off on a new product. As I said in the previous slide, ECM is traditionally a tool used by manufacturers, but within this industry, or horizontal, what are the kind of companies that typically use engineering change management to support their product lifecycle? One common reason manufacturers will use ECM is if they have a make or engineer to order fulfillment model. In these kinds of cases, there's a lot of activity going back and forth between the product design team, the customer, and other departments like sales and production. And ECM helps support this collaboration and ensures the proper design procedures are followed. Another common attribute of an ECM user is if the product or process is highly complex. ECM allows for greater visibility and control, especially when managing product changes in that kind of an environment. Global companies with a large footprint benefit from using ECM to define product ownership across different teams, control product rollouts to different entities, and to improve communications within the different departments across the globe. And another common type of company that will use ECM is a heavily regulated company. For them, the traceability aspect of ECM functionality allows them to make sure that they're in compliance with government regulations and gives them the tools they need to pass the regulatory audits. As I mentioned at the beginning of this session, we're going to spend the next 3 Tech Talks in this series talking about how you can set up and use ECM and Dynamics to support the product lifecycle. And these are the 3 processes that we've condensed the product lifecycle into that we'll focus on as we go through the next few series. For now, we will cover the high-level steps in each of these processes in this Tech Talk so we understand what are we talking about when we talk about business processes that ECM supports. First, let's talk about the new product creation process and how that process incorporates ECM and Dynamics. New product creation typically starts either as a part of the cyclical process of reviewing and updating product offerings, or as a result of a customer requesting a product that we don't currently stock. The first step in getting a new product set up is to define what the product will be and how we will make it. This isn't something that's specifically tracked in the ECM module in Dynamics, but we might use the project management and accounting module in Dynamics to track the related research and development expenses, as well as our initial production runs where we're figuring out what the official bill of materials and route will be for this item. Once we know how we're going to make the product, we can complete our initial setup of the product in our engineering company. We define information such as who owns the product, how we're going to classify it in the system. We can use approvals to make sure that our information is complete and correct. Next, we send the information about the product and how to make it to any of our manufacturing sites that will produce it. We can choose what data should be controlled by our central engineering org and what will be controlled by each specific location. Each manufacturing site will review the information sent and create the final setups needed for them to begin production. Again, using ECM controls to ensure that all steps are completed and approved before we start transacting. And finally, we update the product lifecycle state to reflect that we are ready to launch the product for use in transactions. After products have been launched and are in use, we'll likely need to make updates throughout the product lifecycle. Normally, updates are driven either by a periodic process of reviewing our product offerings, as mentioned in the previous slide, or they might come up ad hoc throughout the product lifespan. For example, a customer service agent may receive a call from a customer asking for a change to the bill of materials, or a production operator may raise an insight in the routing based on their experience producing the item. Once the request has been raised, we will typically want to investigate whether the change is feasible and what the implications are of that change. For more complex changes, we may use projects once again to track the costs of the research or our test runs in production, just like we do for new products. We will also need to think about whether the change requested should be a new version of the existing product or whether it should be a new product entirely. If we decide to approve the change and determine that it should be an update to our existing product, we will create the change documentation to track what the changes are that are being made and the various approvals we want to capture for the change. We'll also analyze the business impact of the change and identify any on-hand inventory or work-in-progress inventory of the soon-to-be obsolete version. Once approvals are completed, we can release the updated product information to the manufacturing entities, just like we did with new product launch. When we're making a significant change to our product, especially regarding the bill of materials, we may address the disposal of old versions of inventory a couple different ways. We might simply scrap the inventory and record that in the system, Or it might have a promotion to sell the remaining inventory at a reduced price to deplete the stock as quickly as possible. We might also want to look at the work in process production orders and determine what action we want to take for those specifically. And finally, at the end of the product lifecycle, we're going to retire our product. Once we've decided that our product is due for retirement, whether that's because we have a new product that's going to replace it, or it's just not a product that's profitable for us to sell anymore, we'll start our same change documentation to record that we are retiring this product and go through all the proper steps that our business has defined as our workflow. One of the key points here is that we'll update the product lifecycle state to indicate that it's no longer available for use in sales transactions or procurement transactions, for example, which allows us to maintain that visibility into the product by keeping it in the system and not deleting it, but preventing it from being used because we've decided that we don't want to do that anymore. And then we need to think about how we're going to dispose of obsolete inventory. If we still have inventory on hand as we're going into the product obsolescence process, once again, do we want to scrap it? Do we want to prioritize its consumption before we switch to whatever the replacement is? And then how do we want to handle new orders coming in for that product? So we might want to think about using a link to an alternative item if someone tries to order a product that's obsolete. So those are the high-level business processes in the product lifecycle state and how they're supported by ECM. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Hiren.
Thanks, Anne. Now that we have understood what engineering change management is, how ECM can help in a process of launching a new product to change and evolve the products and its retirement process, let us switch gears and go through some of the terminology and concepts which you will be using while working with ECM module in Dynamics 365 for SCM. So in today's Tech Talk, we are covering some of the concepts at a high level, but in upcoming Tech Talks, we'll be able to show how to configure these features to show its relevance and how to use them in a specific business use case. The very first concept we have is the engineering organization versus the operational company. Organization can create and designate one of the legal entity in the system as engineering organization to ensure that the master data for product is centrally created and maintained. An engineering organization owns the engineering products and their engineering relevant data. Engineering products and engineering relevant data will be released to operational companies. As you can see, DEMF is the engineering organization where engineering products and relevant data is managed and maintained. And eventually, the products will be released to the respective operational company, USMF and USSI. Engineering organization purpose is to manage engineering products. Hence, it is recommended to not do any transactions. Once products are released to the operational companies, they can be transacted against. So important thing to keep in mind while you decide on your engineering company, you need to decide, is it going to be one of your logistical companies? Do you need a separate one for easier data management? Take a decisions according to your needs as it cannot be changed later. Another important concept to understand is engineering product, variant, and version. Engineering products evolve during the product life cycle. Changes are introduced to improve product serviceability, change a component because the supplier no longer offers it, respond to new insights, or fix mistakes in the initial design. Supplier might offer same products in different configuration or color to meet consumers' demand and respond to new trend, which can be tracked through new product variants. Engineering versions ensures that the various states of a product and its data are kept current and clear, and that they can be visualized in the system. Typically, form, fit, function rule determine whether a change requires a new product, new version, or an update to an existing version. If we see left to right in the first example, product has evolved as new product as new features are offered in the product. In the second example, product has evolved as variants where there was a need to have same products with different colors. The third example shows product has evolved as new version as underlying part has changed or replaced. Engineering product category. The engineering product categories provides the basis for creating engineering products and help ensure products are created as per company's business rule. Each engineering product category establishes the default behavior of the engineering products that are created based on that category. As you can see here, we have three different product categories for products: headset, speakers, and projector. Engineering product category will define what should be a product type. If it is an item or a service type of product, what should be a product subtype, whether it would be a product master or a product. And if product subtype is a product master, then what will be the product dimension group in order to track the product variants such as size, color, style, configuration, and version. If version should be used as a variant, or if there is no need to track version in transactions, every such behavior will be controlled using engineering product category. Let's discuss about tracking versions in detail in next slide. But important things to keep in mind while you decide on your engineering categories, make them fit your business needs, as it will not be allowed to change later. Especially for converting the non-engineering products, the version dimension cannot be used, as version dimension did not exist for non-engineering products. For new products, decide if you want to track versions in transactions or not. Now let's review one of the settings. As I mentioned in the previous slide, engineering product category control the behavior of engineering product. And one of the behavior is dependent on the setting of track version in the inventory transactions. If version is tracked, the version will be used as one of the variants along with the size, color, config, and style. Company can sell product of a specific version. You can track product lifecycle state by version. However, this also means that company will have to maintain inventory level for each specific version and will have to meet consumer demands for specific versions. On the other hand, if there is no need to track versions in the transactions, product will not have version as a variant. However, you can still track revisions to the product information, as each product change will create different engineering versions. If you have a need to convert non-engineering products to engineering product, then you will have to select this option. Since version is not tracked as variant, it is easy to maintain number of products and their inventory stock. Product owners. Product owners are a group of users who are part of product owner group and responsible for managing specific category of products. When a product owner group is assigned to a product, only the members of that group can release the product. The product owner can also be used in the approval workflow for change request and change orders in the engineering change management. For example, in an electronics manufacturing organization, there is a product engineering department who manages different category of products such as audio or visual products. There can be set of products which are electrical components which will be managed by separate product owners. And eventually, these parts will be supplied to headphones, speakers, or projectors. Organization can establish product owners for products such as speakers, headphone, projector, and electronic components who are responsible for managing specific category of these products. Another important concept in engineering change management is product lifecycle state. A product lifecycle state documents the lifecycle state of a product or a product variant. As an engineering product goes through its lifecycle, it's important to be able to control which transactions are allowed for each lifecycle state. For example, products that aren't in the mature state should not be put on a sales order. Alternatively, if a product is reaching its end of the life, you might want to control the inflow of that product. Product's lifecycle state can also be set up to its engineering versions. When the product lifecycle state is connected to an engineering version, you can use the lifecycle state to control which transactions are allowed for that engineering version. You can enable or block the transactions for business processes across sales, purchase, and planning. Now let's look at an example of product lifecycle state of a product. Let's say electronics manufacturer has speaker of 1000 watt, which is operational and in the market. Organization is allowed to transact against this product, hence product can be used on sales order transaction. Meantime, manufacturer is working on designing new product, say speakers of 2000 watt. Since this product is still in design, this product is yet not allowed to be transacted against. In such case, transactions such as sales order will be blocked. Now, company launches a new speaker of 2000 watt, and the life cycle state for this product is changed to operational. Now, this new product will be allowed to transacted against an order can be placed for these new speakers of 2000 watt. After a while, company has decided that they would like to discontinue the speakers of 1000 watt. So its life cycle state will be changed to obsolete, and that product will no longer be allowed to place an order on. Change request and change orders. The engineering change request process lets you capture the request for changes from all the relevant departments in your company. It doesn't matter whether you work as an engineer or in a manufacturing, sourcing, warehousing, or sales department. Anybody can use an engineering change request to request a change. Change request is a means to suggest a product change, but it does not mean change will happen until the change is approved. This change might be an idea for a new product, an issue that you discovered while you are working on with an existing product, a suggestion for improving an existing product, or something else. After someone submits a request for change, the review and approval process can be managed by a workflow that identify who must approve the change. For example, the product owner can approve the change. Engineering change orders provides a structured process for making changes to the engineering products. If change is requested is approved, product manager can convert the change request into the change orders. You propose changes by using a copy of the engineering relevant data. You can also create an engineering change order that is based on an approved engineering change request, or you can create engineering change from scratch. You can define various attributes such as priority, severity, customer approval on the change orders. You can include multiple products on a single engineering change order. Using this change, new product, new variant, or new versions can be generated. Now let's review one of the use case for change request and change order process. Let's say call center tech support has received feedback from customers that the headphone battery life is lasting lower than expected. Call center tech support enters a change request to suggest improvement to the headphone's battery. Tech support can add notes and attachments regarding the specific issues. Change request is routed to the headphone product owners via workflow for review and approval. Product manager approve the change request and create a change order by converting the change request to a change order. Change order will be created by adding existing headphones one product to change order. Product design team will review the product design for a battery specific issue and identify that one of the component for the battery is responsible for low battery and decide to change that component. BOM for the headphone V1 product will be changed in the change order, which will result in a new product version for headphones V2. Change order will be submitted for approval via workflow. Once product owner group approve the change order, it will be processed, resulting in a new product version, headphones V2, where new component related to the battery has been replaced. Once the product headphone V1 changes are approved and processed, the new product version and its BOM will be released to the operational company. There is also an ability to define product release policy in the system. So once product is released, it can be automatically be available and released in the operational company, or a manual approval is needed in specific operational company. Now, these are some of the attributes available when change request and change orders are created. You can define and set up values for each of these attributes in the system as per your business need. For example, you can define category, priority, severity for change request and change order. These attributes will help drive insights like how many change requests or change orders are of specific category, how many change orders are of urgent priority, and we can review some of the products associated with such severities and priorities. Similarly, you can set up the change reasons, customer approval state for change orders. Another set of attributes which are available are material disposable codes and environment, health, and safety regulations, which can also be defined on the change orders. You can use material disposable code to categorize materials that are used in your finished goods or components that must be disposed of in a specific way or require some treatment before they can be added to your regular trash. If any standard environmental health and safety regulations or company specific regulations must be considered in the manufacture of a product, you can use the environmental health and safety codes to define them. In engineering change order, you can indicate which codes apply to manufacturer of this product. Product readiness. Readiness checks feature help ensures that all the master data has been specified for a product before it's used in the transaction. When readiness checks are used, a user or a team is made responsible for validating specific predefined product-related data. System checks. System check verifies whether there is a valid record for a product. For example, system will check if product has active and approved bill of materials or route. Another system check is to validate if cost price is defined for the product or not. Manual checks. A user verifies whether the record is valid. For example, there are some key product information needs to be defined, such as default order settings for a product, and they need to be verified by inventory department. Similarly, sales team or procurement team needs to verify if sales trade agreement and purchase trade agreements are defined for the product. You can also use a checklist to do some checks. The user answers a series of questions from a checklist, and the system determines whether the answers meet expectation. For example, product financial details needs to be verified before it can be made active and transacted against. Checklist can be created to capture all the financial details. Similarly, marketing information and warehousing information can be captured as part of the checklist, and this checklist can be defined in the product readiness policy. When the activation process is triggered for an engineering product, variant, or a version, all the required data which are entered will be verified based on the product readiness checks policies defined using the system check, manual check, and checklist. With that, I will now hand it over to Meenu, who is going to walk us through how to enable ECM features and will demo ECM workspace and also discuss some of the recommendation. Meenu, over to you.
Thanks, Hiren. Now that we know what ECM is and the common terminology used in ECM in Dynamics 365, let's see how we can enable it in SCM. Okay, so let's talk about what step we need to do before we start using ECM. Although we all know that ECM comes free with SCM license, so we do not have to buy a separate license, which is a good news, I guess. But we still need to enable it from license configuration as it is not enabled by default. But before we do that, we need to make sure that we put system in the maintenance mode. And if we skip this step, the license configuration will be in the read-only mode. So make sure before you come to license configuration, you do enable the system in maintenance mode. In license configuration, from there, the ECM could be found under the trade module. ECM itself is a standalone. It could be enabled as a standalone, but if you expand ECM node, you will find two more options, which could be enabled individually. The first one is the attribute search. We recommend enabling this feature as we know engineering product usually has more attributes than product master. So this feature come in handy if you want to specify all non-standard characteristics, and later on you could use it to find products based on that. The second one is change management for process manufacturing. This feature is to manage changes in formulas for process manufacturing, so you can enable or disable this feature as needed. If you go further down the list, you would find another one called product dimension version. I know Hiren touched base on product dimension version. This is a very good feature. This is used to track the versions on the product itself. So version is a product dimension that is intended to help you maintain and track multiple versions of the product throughout the supply chain. And after that you do that, you have to make sure you make your system, turn off the system from maintenance mode. With this, we added, with all these changes, we added a new forms and tables. So database must be synchronized to ensure that the configuration key are properly configured to reflect your changes. For tier 2 environments, database synchronization happen automatically since we put the environment in and out of maintenance mode. But for tier 1, we need to manually synchronize it by logging into the box. So make sure that you do that. Let's talk about ECM feature management. As you all know, with D65, we have this amazing feature management workspace from where you can enable and disable the features. All the ECM features are under the module called Engineering Change Management. We have provided a link here to help you go through all of those. So depending upon whichever feature you need, you can enable and disable from the feature management itself. Let's check some of the ECM-related workspace available out of the box of D65 SCM. Workspaces in Dynamics 365 are a collection of common use links, tiles, lists, and jobs that as a specific user could perform in their roles in the organization. As you know, that each workspace is geared towards and optimized for common roles within an organization, workspaces are intended to be a single point of entry into the application where user will spend the majority of the time to complete various tasks, monitor specific report, and manage their day-to-day responsibility. Let's just dig into one of the engineering change management workspace. In the day of a life of a product manager, when it comes in the morning, he wants to have a high-level view of open change orders, request, and approve one in ECM. He can use this workspace to plan his or his team day accordingly. On the top, you would see that there are different windows. You can go and create a new change order from there. You can go create new requests. You can go and look at open change orders. You can look at all the requests and all release products. Below, we have a different list. The first one will show all your open change orders. The second will show open change orders. From here, you can add more columns respective whatever you need. Like I'm going to go ahead and add the priority. I want to see what are the priorities on all the open change order. That way I could decide which one to do first, which one to do next. Like urgent is the one which I would go and tackle first. You can see other different options like process change order, approve change order. There are different views. In this views also, you can go and add different columns. Below, we would see a graphical view of things. Some people are good in looking at graphics, like I would go and see what's the priority on it. Let me give a big picture of it. So there are different graphs available for you to look at it and see what all the urgents are, what are the routines, what are the severity level and the priorities. So from there, you can make your decisions. If you go below, you would see there are different links we needed for, like one of the example is a business impact. That report could be used to tell you what would be the business impact if we change anything on that product. We have another one called engineering change order. That one is to check all the different engineering order. We do have a different setup tabs available where you can go and do the setup directly from this workspace. So I would say this workspace is inclusive of a lot of stuff an engineering change manager will do in his life. Let's have a demo of another workspace which is related to ECM called Product Readiness for Discrete Manufacturing. I would say this workspace is a perfect example of how inclusive is ECM with other module in SCM. This workspace would be mostly used by product engineering manager who wants to have a high-level view of a product lifecycle. So top tiles will show you all the released product change request, like we have a 3 in this case. And the rest of the tile will tell you if the release product are missing any key things like active BOM or active route versions and different other things. In the middle, you would see a list pages. And first one is a product change request list. So in this case, we have 3 of them. The first one is about the crossover discontinue. From here itself, you can go and check completeness of that particular case which is being created. Or you can approve or activate. If you want, you can directly click on it and go to that case itself and review it. Like here, you can see what are the case log, and what is the name of it, what is the case category and priority. All of these can be looked at it, and you can make a better decision by clicking on it and change the status as needed. You can want to process it or cancel it, whatever you want to do. From here you can check the completeness of this case and decide whether you want to change it to change request or not. And once you close it, it's going to bring you back to the workspace. So that's kind of a beauty of it. And there are different lists, as mentioned. There are missing active versions, bomb versions. There are other ones which could go directly from here itself. Below, we provided a link to our different forms. Like, let's say one of the bomb is missing an active version. So you can go directly from here and make changes and come back to the workspace. Now let's talk about different resources available to learn more about ECM, and we'll cover some basic recommendation along with it. All right. As we all know that first step of any implementation is to find out if it is right for your organization or business needs. So make sure that ECM or engineering change management is the right product for your business needs or serve your purpose. And then we would identify the right people for that product who would need to be involved, like who manages the product, review it, and review additional forms related to ECM and make sure it is a right product for your company and the business needs. Always make sure whenever you do anything new within SCM, make sure that you test those in a non-production environment. We do not want anything to be started directly in the production environment. And once you do that in your tier 2 environment or dev box, make sure it's serving your purpose, doing your business needs, and then you can go and activate in production environment. But always the case, make sure you test in a non-production environment. And do watch us for the next 3 Tech Talk to make sure you can make a better decision. And we did provide a link for our Tech Talks. So make sure you can go and register it. Let's see what all resources we have available. Here are some of it. First one is MX Docs. For anything related to Dynamics 365, we have very good doc articles. You can go and read about it. ECM one has even contains the video. You can look at it and see what it helps you with the business needs or not. We did have a previous Tech Talk, which is done by one of our engineering manager. That also helps you in seeing whether it does serve you or not. I would say my favorite one is the Yammer group. Yammer group is a place where you can ask questions and see what other companies are doing with this product so that you can make a right decision. You can put your questions in there. And there, it's like a good place to ultimately know whether this product is good for you or ask questions. Next one is the idea site. We always encourage everybody for the feedback. If you have anything you think that we should change for the product, please go and put your ideas in the idea site. We regularly monitor it. All right, that brings us to the end of our slideshow. So, guys, what do you think is the answer of your riddle? What did the electric engineer say when he or she got shocked? What do you think?
What did she say?
The answer is that hurts. Isn't that funny, guys? All right, so it's time for a Q&A. So let's see if we have any questions in our chat.
Looks like we've got a few.
Okay. So let me read the first one. Somebody said we are already using ECM from the ISV vendors. So ECM functionality in D65 optional or mandatory?
I'll take this one.
Sure.
ECM is optional, and you can also choose to use ECM for a subset of your products. You don't have to use it for all of them. So it's a module that's included out of the box with Dynamics 365 supply chain management. And you can choose to enable it. And then once you've enabled it, you can set up specific products as engineering products, and that determines whether they're controlled by ECM processes. If you don't want to use ECM, that's also fine. You can just set up your products as regular products and release products, and they won't use the core ECM functionality. Hiren, anything you want to add to that one?
No, I think if they're already using the ISV, you just wanted to verify how ISV product is installed, whether they are making use of existing ECM functionality or is it completely a standalone. So that is something which you can verify. And then maybe if the engineering change management is enabled, you can try to leverage additional features which are part of the ECM if that makes sense for your business requirements.
Great. Thank you, Hiren and Anne. Sorry, Anne.
Okay.
And we have the same question 3 times. Which 365 version introduced this ECM feature? Shall I take this one, Hiren, or you want to take this one?
Yeah, I don't remember the exact version, but it's been generally available since December 2020. Yeah, so it's been around for almost more than a year now. Uh, I don't know if you have a specific version.
So I would say it's actually 10.0.25. It's actually activated, but it's been there since 23, as far as I remember. But yeah, Hiren is correct. It's there since December 2020. All right, so we have one more question. Is there a published data model that details all the table and fields in relationship for this ECM module?
That's a really
So
good question.
yeah, it's a good question, and this comes a lot when you are trying to kind of migrate existing products or things like that. Uh, I don't think so. There is a published specific list of published tables or entities, but you might want to take a look at data management framework and look at all the entities which are available for ECM. Uh, One of the thing which you want to keep in mind if you want to use these entities and if you want to import some of the engineering products, you will have to make sure that you use the ECM uh, products entity and not the regular release products entity. And you will have to first import all of these products into the engineering organization. And from there, you can basically release these products to your operational companies. So there are some of the gotchas which I think is documented, but you will have to identify the specific entities which are related to the ECM. The regular release products entities and importing them directly into the operational companies will not work, as it will not create the versions as it is intended for.
Right. And I do want to add to that, it's saying that since it's free with SCM license, so you can try it out. We do have some special entities published for ECM too, so you can try it out in our dev environment or test environment and see if that's what you're looking for. There one more question. Can you convert existing product to ECM products?
Yeah, I will take that.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, go ahead and no worries.
All right.
I'll add in.
The answer is yes. You can convert existing products to engineering products. That was one of the features that Meenu showed in the feature management workspace. There is a note, however, you can version those products when you convert them, but if you have it as a release product that doesn't use variants today, and then you convert it to an engineering product, you can't track version in inventory as a product dimension. So there's a docs article that talks through this process. So there's a couple of constraints, but you still can convert it to an engineering product and use the engineering change orders, track the versions of it, just not as a product dimension. Hiren, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, and we have seen some scenarios with some other customers where they did have a custom dimension like revision, and they would and now they want to enable ECM and they would like to use version as a dimension. In that case, the standard functionality will restrict you, but you can do some extension and bypass some of the validation to basically convert those custom values of the revision dimension into a version dimension. So there is some kind of extension and customization required in order to reach to that level, but it is possible.
Okay, thank you. I think the similar in this lines is another question. Why I cannot have a configured product, example, headphones red, headphones white, and change for each color and configuration the related version. Example, headphones red V01 and headphones red V02. kind of confused with this question, but looks like he's trying to ask that why I cannot configure and manage for each color. Why can't I manage in the version instead of creating a variance for it? That's what it looks like.
Yeah, I think so. You can have separate versions for each variant. So if I had headphones that come in red, white, and black, then I can track the versions on my red headphones variant separately from my black headphones variant. So we do have that ability right here.
Exactly. Yeah. So you should be able to version each variant as well. So for example, headphone rates has V1 and then it has the headphones rate changed to V2. For some reason, you will be able to use that version. You can activate that version. You can have its own life cycle of version V2. So that capability does exist.
Okay. One more question also related to version. So version dimension is available only with ECM? As far as I know, it is available without ECM too, because we have a separate configuration here. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. You can enable the version, just the version configuration key, and it will be available as one of the variant. But however, if you want to use ECM and want to use as a variant within ECM, as I mentioned in the TechTalk on the engineering product category, you have a setting whether you want to track versions or not. So you will have to make use of that functionality. But if you just want to use version, you can use it. You can just enable the version as a variant.
Okay, so another question related to track version. Looks like everybody is interested in the track version. So this one is in track version, you listed several things. Track version as a variant, self-specific version on transaction, track lifecycle state by version, maintain inventory by version. Are we able to choose which of these options we want to employ? For example, if we wanted to version a product and have a record of that change, then we don't need to separate track the specific inventory by version or require sales transaction to enter the version number. Is that possible?
So I'll try to answer this, and maybe Anne, you can add, or Meenu, you can add. As I was mentioning, each product engineering product, that behavior is defined by engineering product category. So on engineering product category, if you define that category to be of a product master, that means you're trying to use the product dimension, and you can define which product dimensions or variants that product will have. So you can define size, color, and version as variants. So you can set it up that way. And then if you decide to use version, you can also have version as one of the variant. But in order to, if you want to track specific versions in the transactions, then you will have to allow tracking to yes at the engineering product category. And that way, you will be also tracking version as a variant, and it will have its own engineering version as well. What that means is when you are doing any transactions like sales orders or purchase order, you will have to choose specific versions, and it will have associated variants as well. If you do not track it, then then that version variant is not tracked, and you will be only using basically you will be basically using that product number itself on each of these transactions.
Yeah, I think
So you do want to make sure that you test your scenarios by setting up the product category, engineering product category, with track versions and without track versions, and see which one makes most sense for your business scenarios.
And I'll just come in and kind of summarize what you said here. And I think the important thing is you can still track versions from a revision concept without tracking versions in inventory. And that's what the slide was talking about. So we can know that we're on version 6 of this engine that we have as a part in our inventory without knowing how many version 6 we have in inventory versus how many version 5. So we can still say this is a new version, here's all the documentation around the change, but we don't we don't care if we're selling version 5 or version 6. It's all the same engine when it comes to sales. That's just a really short way of saying what Hiren said.
Thank you, Hiren and Anne. Another question is from Nilesh. How to invoice change order?
That's a good question. I don't believe we have that functionality. But I do think that it's interesting because I can understand you might want to do that if a customer is requesting the change and then they want you to go spend time and money figuring out how to do it, and then they should pay for it. I know of customers who have this model, Microsoft customers who have this model where the customer will pay for them basically to do the research and development on product changes. As far as I know, we can't do that through a change order, but you could use a project in Dynamics to track the time and expenses of developing a new product or changes to a product, and then invoice against the project to get the customer to pay for it.
Right. As we said that it's embedded within the D6 of SCM, so you can always use a project to invoice it. So thank you, Anne. The next question is from Webhub. How is the change management different from the case management feature available, as case management is really well integrated with all the modules? So would it be a prudent decision to implement ECM if one is already using a case management?
I'll start, and then Meenu or Hiren, if you want to jump in, go ahead. But essentially, you're right. Case management is a really solid tool that is well integrated with all of the modules that we have in Dynamics. And if that's working for you, then maybe you don't need ECM. But ECM takes case management to another level. I think we have a lot more information that we can track. We have the concept of versioning of products. So you get more traceability, more control around, hey, I don't want this product to be used in sales yet because it's not approved. So it's ECM is a level up in terms of functionality that's available, but that doesn't mean everybody needs to use ECM.
I agree with you, Anne. I mean, if you want to have more functionality related to all the questionnaire and how to release cycle and all, then you should use it. Otherwise, if you're already using case management and serving your business need, we do not need that. Okay. The next question is, how long has ECM been embedded in D65? I think we already answered that question. The next one is, with regard to product readiness, currently there is a fixed list of system and manual checks. Are there more types of system manual check in the pipeline, or maybe a possibility to configure system manual check yourself in the future? So, Hiren, do you want to take it, or you want me to take this one?
Yeah, I think at this moment we have a fixed set of system checks and manual checks. But I think it's a good question. We should definitely check with the engineering team if there is something in the pipeline where they are planning to add more checks in place. But you can, if there is a need, you can probably make a use of checklist because it's kind of more configurable. I know it doesn't give you that level of flexibility as system checks or manual checks. But if that is something which you're looking to use, you can always use checklist. But we will definitely get back to you on if there are plans to add more system checks and manual checks. And we will also check whether there is a possibility to do extension and add more checks in there. So we will get back to you on that.
I would say too, if there are specific checks that your business needs that you want to have as system checks, provide, the use case to us, because we're always looking for what is important to our customers, right? So we could go off and say, we think we should add these checks, but if they're not the checks you're looking for, that doesn't really help. So I think we would love to hear from you what checks you'd like to be added.
Thank you, Hiren and Anne. So another question is from Anonymous. Can I use a configuration model to configure an engineering product?
I'll take this one. So the answer is, right now, as I understand it, you cannot have a product that uses the product configurator also controlled as an engineering product. I think there was actually a conversation about this in the Yammer group that Meenu talked about a few slides ago. But what I do think it's interesting, because the whole point of a product configurator is that you're trying to build a product ad hoc and not necessarily go through all of the official design steps that ECM has that go along with it, right? But you might say we have a product configurator for a car. Let's just use a car as an example. And people can choose the color. They can choose if it's front wheel drive or all wheel drive. But we want to control the components, like the engine and the seats should all be revision controlled. So you could have a finished good, the car, which is a configurator model, but have the components of the car be controlled by engineering change management. So the two pieces of functionality can live in the same product, right, in overall, and cooperate together. But as far as I understand, you cannot enable a product configurator item to also use engineering change management. Hiren, you want to add anything there?
No, I think you have covered it. Currently, the product configurator doesn't support ECM, and there are clear reasons for it, as Dan mentioned, because it's geared toward different personas and different business processes, and I think that is the reason why it's currently not supported.
Thank you, Hiren. Is there a migration path if we want to move from ISV to standard D65?
Yeah, currently we don't have anything published, but I think we would like to understand that scenario more. And if you can provide any feedback on EMR group, I think we can definitely look at it and put together some of the steps and processes around it, how you can migrate. So definitely that feedback is welcome.
Okay, the next question is, in the context of discrete production, does ECM make it possible to manage the replacement of the article at the level of the BOM of the production order when there is a stock shortage?
The answer is it depends, which is a fun answer. So if you know that it's going to be a stock shortage and you need to do an alternative BOM for a certain time frame, ECM is definitely something that you could use to track that. If we're talking about I release a production order to the floor and then realize I don't have something to make it right now for this one specific order, I don't know that ECM supports that process as well as it would support the process of saying, for the next month, we're going to have a different BOM because of a known supply shortage. I don't know if that makes sense here, or Meenu, if you want to add anything.
I think you answered it right, and it depends upon the need. Next question is, do readiness check have a due date?
I think not sure about that. I will have to check, and I can also check if that is something in the pipeline, the roadmap as well. But I don't have a good answer for that. But I can definitely check and get back to you.
Hi, thank you, Hiren. Agreed that I do not know about that too. Maybe it's coming, but we don't know yet. Okay, the next question is, will there be a session that reviews how the attribute functionality work? I'm struggling to get it do anything. And we do have 3 different tech talks coming. We'll cover this more in detail in the next 3 tech talk. So do you want to add anything, guys? Okay.
No, definitely. We are planning to showcase the attributes and attribute inheritance functionality in upcoming tech talks.
Yeah, I would just add that we'd love to hear what your use case is that you're trying to use it for, because that'll help us target our users a little bit better in what we present.
Okay. The next question is from Jitendra. We have 10025, just check in feature management and did not find a ECM feature. Do you know the reason? I think, Jitendra, did you go and check your license? As mentioned, that you have to configure from the license. You have to make sure your license is enabled. Even though it comes free with SCM, you still need to go and check your license configuration. So this is the screenshot of it. Okay. And it's showing a screenshot too. So guys, make sure about that one.
Okay. I know we still have more questions, but we are at our time for this session today. We will go through and answer the rest of the questions in chat, and then we'll be keeping track of all these questions and make sure that we do get answers out for those ones we weren't able to get to today. So I'm going to turn it back over to David to wrap this up.
Thank you much, Anne and the rest of the team. I've posted a link to a short survey in the Q&A panel. We'd like your feedback on today's session and hear what you'd like to see in future events. Thank you for your participation. As a reminder, the recording of today's session will be available on the TechTalk's Community Dynamics page within 5 business days. I'd like to extend a big thank you to our presenters and our audience for joining us today.